head around this. I think what I'm being told, and I'm going to go to that update note that was produced and provided this morning, is I think it's done on a floor space calculation. So if I've got 10 dwellings, and therefore I'm doing an off-site contribution on 10 dwellings, they take a calculation based upon floor space, and they're going to take 10% of the floor space as affordable contribution. If I'm looking at table 2 on page 2 of the document that was provided, that comes out at approximately £21,000 per dwelling. So I've got 10 dwellings in my scheme, I'm making an off-site contribution, my contribution is approximately £21,000 a dwelling, which means I'm making a contribution off-site on a 10 dwelling scheme of around about £200,000 to £210,000. In very simple terms, I think that's my understanding, and that would then deliver you as an off-site contribution round about £200,000, which would then equate to one dwelling to be built off-site by the council, which is the £200,000. I think that's my interpretation of this policy now it's being redrafted. I don't think I've got a problem with that, in all honesty, because it's been viability tested, but I just need to understand if my interpretation is right. But I also think you need to remove the reference to 1,000 square metres and drop it to 500 square metres to make it appropriate.
Well, the short answer to that is you can't, because it's government policy that we're applying, not a council rate. The 1,000 square metres is a gross internal area cumulative requirement, so you cannot apply 500 square metres as a gross cumulative requirement. You're looking at the totality of the numbers of dwellings that are being provided under 10, and you've got to pass the 1,000 square metres mark. It could mean you could have 2 large houses and 2 small houses, but what you can't do is assume a lower threshold, because that's not what government policy says.
Well, in which case, Mr. Elvin, I'm going to come forward with every site with 4 dwellings, and there'll be 2,000 square foot each. In effect, it is in effect. You'll be open to threshold dodging on the basis that you've reduced the number of units, but not reduced the floor space. And I think that's a bit of an own goal for the council.
Well, it's the cumulative figure, and the Secretary of State, the ministerial statement was introduced precisely to stop developers playing games with the threshold figure of 10. And it's a cumulative figure, and if you try and divide a site up into smaller numbers, that will be an obvious attempt to avoid the application of policy and will no doubt lead to refusal.
I think if you stick with the 1,000 square metres, then you are allowing the developers to actually do that.
It's national policy. It is national policy, I'm afraid. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, but I think the 1,000 square metres is directly related to the 10 dwellings and not the 5.
Well, that's incorrect, because it says which have a maximum combined gross floor space, and refers to 10 units or less. So it applies to any number 10 or less, or fewer if you're being grammatical.
So I make that point as a clarification point. I've obviously got other points to make with respect to this particular policy. I'm happy to come back to those as we move on.
Okay, I'm going to take a lunch break now. Yeah, that does mean that our morning session will slide over into the early afternoon a little bit. Hopefully, though, we won't take too much time after lunch. I think we've covered most of the ground already. So, in any event, I now make it 1 minute past 1. I'll adjourn the hearing to resume at 1:45. Thank you.